last year, 2 years ago, I don't remember. And this time we're going to talk about exploratory testing with AI. So may sound kind of weird. Usually when talking about AI, it's about automation. And how does automation go with something that you need like a human inside it? So we're going to discover it. And let's start. Okay, so thank you for the introduction. A bit more about myself. So I'm a trainer and consultant, and I work with people, developers and testers who want to make software better. Um, you can get in touch with me through the chat window, social media, on my site, and I make a lot of videos and webinars. You can go to YouTube and check them out. A lot of videos there. But that's me. So let's talk about what we're here for. So before we start, I want like to start like at the top. What are we after? And we're really after coverage. Now, coverage it's kind of a lie. Because when we're thinking about coverage, we're thinking about line coverage or percentage out of a test plan. But when we are thinking about exploration, um, it doesn't fit anything, right? We want to learn more as much as possible. So when we're thinking about automation, that was like the cool word until AI took over our lives, and today it's AI. We kind of thinking, well, how can we make the most of the time that we have for testing? Because testing, basically, we want to learn as much as possible as the system as we can. If we are able to make our time more productive, that means we can test more, learn more, and basically this is what we want. So it's coverage, but it's coverage not in the terms of like how many percents have we covered, because we can't cover 100% ever. We can just learn more and more and more, and this is what we're actually after. Um, so everybody has done like exploration, even if it's like you don't think you did. Whenever you're playing with your application or your APIs, you're exploring. It's not, yes, maybe you started by thinking about the starting point of where you are, but once you see something interesting, you say, what if I try this? This is exploration. Two things that we are going to like incorporate into this talk are two tools that we're using in exploration. First of them is sessions, and the second one is charters. So session-based testing, everyone has done this because this is a very human thing. Again, going to keep going back into the human in the loop. What are sessions? Sessions where you can actually keep your focus on testing, because you can't do like 5 hour sessions. Nobody can, even the most focused of us. Um, we'd like to. Um, we really get paid to do that, but we can't really keep up our attention, our focus. So sessions means that we're going to uh, focus on some area, the charter that we're going to talk about in a second, and we're going to explore it. And it's going to be a limited time. It could be half an hour, it could be like hour and a half max. Then we'll need the break. But we can explore things to the depth, to the width, other dimensions, and learn more about them. So this is one thing that is going to be useful for us when we're exploring, and also like kind of a framework when we're going to do some exploration. The other thing is charters, and charters are like test plans, but they're very minimal. They really are a starting point. They're not like do this and do this and do this. They're like lightweight planning tool, and they really are like areas which we're going to explore, and how these areas are defined are really up to us. Um, but we're going to try to use this terminology when we're doing our exploration. and when we are talking to our soon-to-be overloads, AI. So, um, will AI take over our jobs? This is not my job to tell you. Probably not, because um, a lot of things that we're going to talk about today, uh, AI can do, and sometimes a lot better than we think or admit. Um, However, the thing we're going to talk about planning and getting to a point and preparing data. So a lot of things can be done. Um, I won't say the speed of light, but the speed of AI. And we kind of think, well, if AI can do this, where am I going to fit in this new world? And the answer is with AI, because you need some kind of human. If we're thinking about exploration, and if we're talking about exploration, we're going to talk about testing. You need someone to look at the results, and apart from saying, oh, this is completely wrong or this is completely right, we're going to look at it and say, that's interesting. Oh, let's try this. Let's respond. So a lot of the things that are human, that are not prescriptive, not planned ahead, but things that we notice, things that we look at, things that we wait for, and say, oh, this takes a long time. A lot of this is human, and we need the human in there to look at the results, part of the testing that we do, and say, interesting, wrong. What if we try that again? And we need the human in there, because otherwise things are going to be like sort of prescribed, which is okay for things that we like as prescribed, but eventually system is going to be used by humans, so we need this human experience inside it. Okay, so what are we going to talk about today? So we're going to take a couple of examples, and I'm going to, like I said, think about the tasks that we're doing as part of testing and cut them down and see where AI can help us. But one thing I'm not going to show you, though, is the exploration itself, because this is human and you can do it yourself. So two things. First one, where's my is this site by Lambda Test, who is the organizer of TestMU. So this is the Lambda Test playground. It's an e-commerce application. You can do a lot of stuff with it if you want to practice your automation skills and stuff like that. It's an e-commerce shop, which is a very good example for what we're going to talk about. That's one thing. The second one is Star Trek, of course. So this is StarTrekAPI.com. .co, which is basically a database, a read-only database, really, of all things Star Trek. So you can go to the API browser, which basically, if I look for Spock, which is a character, I can bring back information about it. This is the UI on top of the API. So we're going to use the APIs for Star Trek APIs as a substance for the API. So we're talking about both on API testing and UI testing, because like sort of the majority of what we do. And let's dive in. So I'm going to show you everything inside PyCharm. The reason is that although it wouldn't look like at the beginning, there's going to be some code involved, but I'm going to start with suggestions, and we talked about charters, so let's talk about charters. Um, Charters. Okay, what do I mean by charters? If you're thinking, I mean, you've probably done this in some way before, uh, and if not, I really encourage you to do this. Um, you're like first time looking at an application or a page or something like that. You want ideas of how to test it. So you can ask your friendly neighborhood AI. And I think I did that with Claude Sonnet originally, but so what you'll see here is model dependent, date dependent, all kinds of things. So your results may vary, but this is about giving you ideas, not getting the perfect thing. So this is I went to Cloud and asked it. I wanted suggestions for test charters. Didn't ask for a test plan. We'll see about what he answered. This is the site. This is the main page. I told you this is a sample e-commerce site. You can also buy things without real actual money. And I want charters for the login and product and checkout. Um, so yeah, like cool. And I got this, which is kind of cool. The thing is that, and this is something that we need to think about when we're doing or involving our AI companion. This is an e-commerce application. There's a lot of them, and therefore there's a lot of um, training that has been done with different models on things that look like e-commerce sites, and because of that, testing patterns of testing e-commerce sites. So the more we ask, the more we develop things that are not so unique, we'll probably get some good suggestions because it has been done before and it has been tweaked. So you can see that I have like charters like explore login functionality and product sorting functionality, stuff like that. So, and I can dig in. And the reason that it's cool is that I'm sure that all of you watching can do this. But you can do this in 30 seconds. So it saves a lot of time. Uh, if you're a novice, if you're a junior and you start just starting out and you have some experience, but you don't think how to do this, like this gives you a lot of examples where you can start from. And you don't have to start from here because maybe you're not the first one who's going to test your application, and this application has been in production for a year and a half now. So you can work from that forward when we talk about this. So this is like something that you may try, you probably have tried before, and you can find different levels of details and ask for more if you need, because whenever you ask for more, you'll get more. Remember, I told you the more your application looks like an e-commerce site, the results will be great. If it's not and it's really unique, don't worry, your AI stewage will still give you a lot of results. Some of them you'll need to wade through and say, this is for me, this is not for me. Same thing with APIs. Um, give me more suggestions. Um, so what I did was told Claude, I want to create charters for a single API, APIs from Startup API, and I gave it the URL. This is the where you can look at the. This is the API that we're talking about, and there's a YAML Open API docs of how these things should look like. So the schema is known, and this is very important because it's going to tell us a lot of things based on the schema. So I got a cool list of this. None of them I told you how I told them how many I want, but that's okay. That's cool. You see, like it's basic search functionality because you can actually search there because this is a search thing, and pagination, which is something very normal in APIs when you work with that. The interesting thing, though, look at it. It says paging with large result sets. So paging is nice as a functionality, but large result sets. That this is like interesting because what happens when you have a lot of data? You need the paging, of course. So it already gives you idea of, well, you need a lot of data to sort through, to filter through, stuff like that. A lot of the fields coming from the schema, and also other stuff that are non-functional, like performance boundaries and complex search criteria. And these are like the advanced stuff. It's not like the first thing that you test, like if the status is 200 or something like that. Partial naming, which is interesting. It gave me something that long time ago I did a webinar and talk about exploring same APIs really, exploration in Postman. And one of the thing I did was looking for partial matching and actually found something weird, like a bug in there or weird behavior. And it offers something, not because I found it like 3 years ago, but because this is interesting. Partial name matching is interesting. So you may even be surprised by the suggestions. This is like the initial list. You can, of course, ask for more. And even if you're seasoned, you have experience in that, you can still ask for more. And if you've already done stuff, you get more ideas in less time and you can decide. That's cool. So that was nice, like the test charters. And I was interested in examples, really. So examples really like something more detailed, like should I could know what I talk about and what I should test in the API region. So I needed some explanation, details. So I asked, can you give me examples for each category in the APIs? And the answer was, of course, look at all these things. So one for each category, I have some things like are really not interesting, like you probably think about them yourself. Basic search with Kirk, Picard, and Spock, pagination and stuff like that. But and you see something like special characters. Uh, Again, this is a nice category, and you see you can use T'Pol or Worf, son of Mog. And I want to tell you something about this. Like these are real characters from Star Trek. Now, because if I'm testing special characters in your, I can invent stuff and tell you that it's Klingon. But this is more interesting because when you're using these things in a test, it doesn't matter if it's automated test or manual test. Exploration, it's more manual, right? But if you see these, you get tests that you trust more. If you say, well, I have a test that looks for special characters and you see T'Pol in the test and the test passes, and you say to yourself, huh, this is interesting because of course, this is from Star Trek, and of course, this test should pass. I should be able to search for T'Pol. And if it fails, it's completely the same because you say, T'Pol, this should really work because she's a real character in Star Trek. So this is nice because the model was trained both on testing and APIs and Star Trek, so it knows everything. The more we use real examples in our tests, it's like we trust the tests more. So this is like very nice. I was like impressed with this. And something else, same thing from here, like test common surnames like Paris. So if you're a Voyager fan like me, you know that there's Tom Paris and Owen Paris, his father. And again, using these examples are part of our tests brings more confidence to us when we see the results. So I really like this. And you have like versioning and stuff like that. And you can ask for more explanations, more examples, stuff like that. Yep, we like. Okay. Problem is, you might get overwhelmed with all these examples and cases and stuff like that. So yeah, time is short, right? What do you do? So you can complain, and this is exactly what I did. Uh, Come on. I complained to Claude. I don't have time to explore everything. Can you prioritize the suggestions based on usual user behavior in an e-commerce site? So went back to to the site thing, the UI, and I got a high priority, medium priority, low priority, and you can look at the things here. Pretty much makes sense. But like I said, priorities change over time. So if it's not your first time actually exploring this, and you've got automation for all the major stuff, you can say, oh, I'm going to start with the medium priority or the lower priority. And of course, you can review this and you can say, this is more interesting. This is something that we haven't tested or explored for a while. Maybe we should go here. So, and this is just another assistance of thinking about uh, what you need to do. Still, my job is to review and make the final decision. I'm not letting Claude decide how to test my application. This is like assistance. So I need to be the good reviewer. I'm providing really the context here, because one of the things that is hard to teach models are context. So sometimes the context is sort of known, like we're talking about the e-commerce site. So yeah, they come still, but your application has some kind of context. You have, as someone who's tested the application, you have more context. You know which areas are more robust. Some of them are more are less so. So you need to provide the context and make the decision based on. Sure, you can feed it to the model and ask for more suggestions, but it's your job to really decide based on the suggestions what to do next. Okay, so that's like planning, and something that we sort of do as part of exploration is thinking about the next step. So like you had a session, like you know, session for some kind of charter, and you said like we're going to spend 30 minutes of that, and you find out that everything's working after 20 minutes. You were not surprised. So one of the things that you might try instead of thinking by yourself is maybe ask your AI companion. Um, I'm at the product page. I filtered the category to cameras because you can do that. Page is now filtered by Apple products. Again, you can do that. So what should I do next? Now, you can do that and you get a response, of course. All kinds of things you can do. But I want to explain why I did that. It's not that because I didn't think about, I couldn't think about what to do next. But if you think about it, it's like you put as part of your exploration the system in some kind of state. In my case, it was cameras and Apple cameras, and it's not like the regular starting point of where you start. So maybe you put it in a state where it's going to be interesting to try something. And again, with enough experience, you can do it yourself. No worries. But why not ask and say, okay, what did I not do yet? So here are ideas that start from there. You can go, you can pick something and do it. I say, oh, this is interesting by itself. It's a whole charter by itself. Let's do that. So another thing you can do with a prompt. Okay, so I want to skip now, like to do a time jump for after we're doing the exploration, because like I said, exploration is something you have to do manually. But after that, there are things to do as well. And that is to generate an automated test. Now, there are two scenarios here. The first one is that um, you've done the exploration. You say, okay, things look they are working, and I want to generate a test that just like sort of can go into a regression suite or something like that, because I've done this thing manually. I see it as okay. Log it up in something that can run automatically, and of course we can do that. So I asked it to create a playwright test in Python. This is why we're in PyCharm. For the case of logging functionality, of returning case, and blah, 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 blah. And it creates a test for me. By the way, may not work. No, not. Yeah, okay. But it may not work. Generated tests sometimes work, sometimes don't. You have to make them work. You need to make sure that they do work and that they actually run on the machine that you're not presenting for. But you can create the tests. Now, that's one scenario. Let's talk about another scenario. The other scenario, okay, not yet. This is something that's interesting though, because if you ask a Claude or something like that, you can get an actual test like that. But let's say that you have your own automation infrastructure and you have like base classes and utilities and stuff like that. And when you ask Claude or any model to generate it, starts everything from scratch. So one thing you might want to do is want to refactor this code to fit something that you already have. So what I did as an example was asked it to take the navigation stuff and asked it, can you refactor the test to use the page object model? And it did. So people who work with automation know that you can define a lot of code. You can define pages like home page and login page and stuff like that. It's an abstraction, like a lot of good coding practices of abstraction encapsulation that you can use. And then the tests become a lot more clearer after you actually separate it to different tests. Yeah. So just become a lot more readable and shorter because the abstraction, the details are in the other things. So refactoring is something that's very important, especially if this is not your your first test, because first test can look as ugly as you want. When you're starting to collect more tests and you have like infrastructure stuff like that, you want to fit everything to use the infrastructure, not use things by itself. Okay, so that's one scenario, like you want to lock something in place, but there's another one, and which can be used in two things. First of all is like you've discovered some kind of bug, or you something interesting, say, and you want to pass it along to the developer. Okay, so you can do this manually, but remember you kind of stumbled along exploring, right? So if you've documented a lot of things, yeah, you can do this. Or you can ask your companion to create something, a script, this time not a test, that puts you in this state. So this is one scenario. Another thing is that you want to continue to move from where you are today. So you want to get to a point quickly next time, and you want to start from there. So you can ask, I want to explore the cart page. Please create a script for me that logs into the application, selects two items, and go to the cart page. And you get this time it's not a test. It uses the pages as before, and you get a function that does this. Of course, this I did this in Python, but it can work in whatever language. And of course, I used Playwright. You can do this with Selenium or whatever. So two types of code generation that can help you. The final thing I want to talk about, because like there's a million, is data preparation. And the first type, and I'm going to show you this on the API stuff. So one of the things that I don't like to do, most people don't like to do, is prepare input files or JSON, input JSON for all kinds of things, because this is error prone and hard to do and how to maintain and stuff like that, right? We don't like that. So I asked Claude, sorry, prompt for the API testing case. And the first one, there's a search API for character. You already know this one. But what kind of showed you in the UI, sort of calling the get. So get does a search with a query parameter, which gives it. There's also a post version of this API. It's still a read, but you pass a request body and and you get back the same results basically. Um, so this time I'm telling my AI friend, please prepare this for me. So there's a search API for character for the post version of the API. Remember, it has good knowledge of the schema. Please prepare two possible input request bodies, one for Spock from the mirror universe and one for Spock 2. So these are two Spocks that appear in the database. And this is what I said to him, and it actually translated this into the schema. So what I got was this, and I'll show you JSON in the middle. So here are two possible things. This is for Spock from the mirror universe, and this is for Spock 2. Both requests include pagination parameters, which I didn't ask for. And he said are optional but recommended for controlling result size. I didn't ask and probably was kind of mad, but I got JSON. So, and it was actually translated correctly because Spock from the mirror universe means that the name is Spock. The mirror is true, mirror field is true, and this is actually Spock from the mirror universe. This is how you translate Spock from the mirror universe. Spock 2, by the way, is this actually called Spock 2, not from the mirror universe, and that this one mirror by default is false. So it kind of translated what I asked for to the schema, which is nice. Still need to review it, and I still say, well, page probably won't send it. But imagine when you're working with real APIs with like giant schemas, it's going to be a lot easier to review than type everything in because nobody likes to type everything in. So input data is sort of easier to use AI for generation because it's input. You still need to validate. There's another type of data, and that is preparing the expected result. So this is something that you prepare in advance so you can actually compare when you do actual result. You see the actual result, compare it. Now, we need to keep in mind that when we're asking for expected results is the expected result. Um, the model doesn't run it. It doesn't know what the result is for input, but it can sort of guess. And I'll show you the kind of guessing that it does. So for the final two cases, the cases that I just show you, please prepare result files that I can compare to when I run the request. So it kind of needs to think about what is the result. And what you see here in a very non-readable way is the actual what result looks like. Before I show you the results, though, I want to show you what it also told me that note that actual responses from the API might contain additional fields or slightly different values, depending on any updates made to the database. So it doesn't run it, so it doesn't, but it guesses. It also guesses that the expected results are based on typical structure of responses, blah, 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 blah. When comparing API responses, I'd recommend focusing on the key fields, like UID, which is not something I would focus on because I know the IDs are going to be different, and IDs in applications are usually I wouldn't know the real ID of Spock 2. Okay. And if you're working with real APIs, you know that sometimes IDs are generated dynamically. So you need, again, to be the judge for that. But name is important, mirror, status, and other characters. So you actually look at what it prepared for me. And this is one result, right? And it's basically wrong. If you look at the name, it can expect Spock from the mirror universe to have the name Spock with mirror in parentheses. It's going to be actually, if you try it, it's Spock, the regular Spock, no mirror, only the mirror is true. And you can see that all the optional stuff is null, although look at the place of birth and year of birth, which it kind of filled. Where did it fill it from? Because it's not really running against the database, right? It knows Star Trek, so it knows the world of Star Trek, and maybe it got the information from somewhere else. Again, using real values, real people like Spock, um, makes our tests more trustworthy, more reliable, because we see the examples and say, this is how it should work. The UID is dynamic. It may be similar, it maybe resembles something, but maybe not. But we need to understand how application works and what to compare, what is important, what is not important. Um, Same for Spock 2, by the way. So yeah, you see that Spock 2 is really Spock 2, and he's a male, and this is the year of death. I have not confirmed the place of death, but I'm guessing somewhere on the internet, Spock 2 is had a nice funeral. Okay, so these are the examples. I want to go back to my slides to finish up. So again, what are we after? We're after learning as much as possible from on our application, and the way we do this is to thinking about all the activities that we do as part of testing, and try to automate, use AI to automate and to speed them up, to think with our help a bit broader, more deeper. And we still need to be the judge because this doesn't go away, but we can speed up a lot of things and we can have a lot more choices than we did before. It's still our responsibility to look at whatever we generated, whatever it is we got, and say, "Oh, this is for us." Maybe it is for us, but it's not for us now. We can use it. We could use it differently. Maybe we can't use it because it's not useful. So what's next? What I want you to think about after we're finished with TestinGil, because this is the most important activity that you will do today and tomorrow, is think about what parts of the testing process that you do, where you are right now in your applications and what you're testing, what things you can, I won't even say delegate, but you can pair with an assistant. And this is something like, this is the way you probably you should think about using AI. It's not about delegating stuff. It's not you do stuff for me. It's about we're doing things together. A partner is good at some things. We are more of the reviewers, the confirmers, the validators, because we know the context. We can make the decisions better than um, the robot. Smart robot. So what I want you to do is think about stuff, some of the stuff you probably tried before. But first of all, try things that I showed you and that you haven't tried before. And whatever you're doing, think, well, maybe if I break this down, how can achieve the final thing? How can I explore the system more? And maybe when you do that, you say, oh, these can things I can speed this up, which will let me have more time for exploration. And it can be part of the real exploration as we discussed today. Could be stuff with automation that will get you to a point where you want to explore. You may say that you can report a bug automatically by generating the script and sending it to Jira, because you can do that. Actually, done that, which again saves you time to do more exploration. So it's not. I called this session exploration with AI because you can do a lot more exploration with AI, and that is what I wanted to share with you today. Well, thank you.